Live, where's the Memorex? There you go.
Got it. My name is Matt. I'm an addict too. I'm grateful to be clean. Grateful to be alive. It seems to me in meetings when they call for a moment of silence, to use that moment of silence for prayer, I try to pray in that time. And oftentimes it takes about at least 10 seconds of thank you and God, and thank you, God, for me to slow my brain down enough to get into a mode of prayer. And I guess 10 to 15 seconds is better than can't get there at all. So could we please start this portion of the meeting with a moment of silence and follow that moment of silence with the Serenity Prayer? God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you, because there's a real nice feeling that happens for me in that prayer time when my brain slows down enough to just focus on the prayer. The stomach relaxes. There's not the tension of the mind continuing to go, and there's a peaceful moment that I like to find and stay in for as long as I possibly can, because I enjoy peace today and I appreciate that. I was taught in Narcotics Anonymous, there's 3 things that an individual needs to get on the path to recovery. That's a clean date, a home group, and a sponsor. That's what they told me. Those are 3 entities that I've got to get in my life to join the path of recovery. Not the path to recovery, the path of recovery. And so my clean date is, oh shit. As of Friday, I'm between sponsors. But my clean date is May 21st, 2008. My home group is Living Miracles. And as of Friday, my sponsor and I decided to go our separate ways. So I'm in the process of finding a new sponsor, and I'm excited about that. When I get the new one, it'll be my 4th sponsor. 4 sponsors in 10 years. I keep them for about 2 years apiece. No, my first one was for the first year. My second was for the next 3 or 4, and then this one has been for 6 years. And each transition was an important transition. The first person I asked to sponsor me is because he was white and appeared to have money. And I told people for years that he told me no, but I don't remember what he told me. I think he gave me a sponsorship pamphlet, and then that was the end of it, you know. So it's funny when people talk about telling their story. My story would have been that man told me no for many years. But the truth was he didn't tell me no, it's just he didn't tell me yes. Maybe I was supposed to follow up or something, you know. So the story changes, I suppose, as the individual grows an ability to take a look at it from a different angle. So to talk a little, you know, most of us are here because we found ourselves in quite a pickle. Not all of us are, though. Some of us are just here to support others. And there was something in an IP of ours. It's in Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. I can't read the number. But it says in here, non-addicted people don't spend their time wondering if they're addicts. They don't even think about it. If you're wondering whether or not you're an addict, you might be one. Because like, for instance, my wife is here and a couple of friends of mine's significant others, and they don't seem to really need this program, and I don't know if they spend any time wondering if they're an addict. But if an individual in this room is or has spent any time wondering if they're an addict, you might have a fucking issue. You know what I'm saying? Because regular people don't even wonder. They just kind of go on through life, you know? And so there's some common challenges that addicts seem to face. The the hard-headedness. Janine was saying something that reminded me of how hard it can be to change sometimes, and it may be because the denial and the substitution and the rationalization and the justification and the distrust of others and the guilt and the embarrassment and the degradation and the isolation and the loss of control that is so understandable and common to addicted people that isn't as understandable and common to people who don't seem to think the way we think, So for me, it was so nice to find the program in Narcotics Anonymous in our basic text that explains so well my personality traits. When I started reading this book and actually paying attention to what it said, it was real easy for me to see me in it. And there was something, we recently read in a group here in Battle Creek who is an addict, and I don't know how long it's been since I read that, most of us didn't consider ourselves addicted before coming to the Narcotics Anonymous program. The information available to us came from misinformed people. As long as we could stop for a while, we thought we were all right. We looked at the stopping, not the using. And I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, not so much that I'm bothered, but it's too bad that the treatment center left. Because there could still be some people in this room, but there were definitely some people in this room with them here who might not be sure if there's an issue yet. And they might not ever get the opportunity to take the time themselves and read this book and find out that it's very clearly explained in our program. And if you can relate to it, you have found the solution process. The solution process is here in Narcotics Anonymous. And we don't claim to be the only solution process, and we don't claim to be the best solution process. We claim to be a solution process. The program in Narcotics Anonymous helps addicts stop using drugs, helps addicts lose the desire to use, and transforms criminal, despicable, disgusting human beings into people who make mistakes and then stay clean and stand up for themselves and push forward and become the type of people that can take on the family when the other family can't. Those are the type of people that I want to be around. We looked at the stopping, not the using. I was curious, maybe 2-4 years clean, I was curious to know how many people in the United States tried the type of drugs that I used on the regular. So I went on a internet maraud and did studies to find out how many people in the United States tried the hard drugs that I used on a regular basis. And the numbers are ridiculously low. My projection, and I'm not going to tell the number because it's probably changed since then and it could be misinformed, but it was based on a study and I read everywhere I could. And the number, single digit low. And I was quite sure that most of the I'm talking about try, not use on a regular basis, just tried one time, like one toot, I tried it. Most of the United States has never used the stuff that drove a lot of us up in here. Not even in college once. But everybody I know was putting stuff through them. And if they weren't putting stuff through them, I didn't know them for very long because I couldn't keep those people around too long. They jeopardized my lifestyle. So with the help of the fellowship and the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I am beyond a shadow of a doubt, an addict as the program of Narcotics Anonymous explains the disease of addiction. And with the 10 years clean, I'm still an addict because if you read our literature, you will find that a lot of the aspects of the disease of addiction are real easy to see when we're using, like obsessive thinking and compulsive action, but are still active in life without the drugs. And I don't want to be continued to be ran by denial and substitution and rationalization and all the rest of the shit that I use to convince myself that it's okay to do blank with 10 years clean. And I heard somebody was in a meeting a couple weeks ago and they said, somebody in this room's lying. And I looked around and there's about 18 people in the room and I was thinking, well, there's probably about 18 people in this room lying, because it is so challenging. It's gotten better with practice, but it's challenging to pinpoint the way that I'm deceiving myself to make something that I'm doing okay. with the awakening of the spirit that the steps promise, the pain of the douchebaggery that that I commonly do, I can feel that pain a lot quicker. It's like a prima donna thing. I would use and use and use, and the pain would come, and I was just using and using and using. So it's hard to pay close attention to the conscience, the pain that spawns from the conscience. But without drugs to take the edge off of the pain that spawns from the conscience, when I do some stuff that's against my true nature, the pain is pretty quickly noticeable. So now what do I do with that pain? Well, if I don't desire to feel that pain, then I better start changing my behavior. But how do I change my behavior with denial and substitution and rationalization so effectively works when my left side of my brain talks to the right side of my brain? And that comes through the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous and a fellowship of people that will hear me out. They don't have to say anything. They will hear me out. They will allow me to tell them what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. They will continue to love me, and they will allow me to follow God's process and surrender the way we were talking about cigarettes the other day. Complete and total surrender when you know the fight is over. The recovery process in Narcotics Anonymous begins with step one, which is an admission. And for me, an admission demands that I'm talking to another human being, because if I leave it to me talking to me, denial, substitution, rationalization, justification, those are two intricately practiced for so long. So for me, an admission, step one demands an admission, and that admission has to happen with another human being for me. And if I can make that admission and make that true surrender, then I don't have to find myself in that same situation again. Because we were just talking, Chris was over to dinner at my house, and we were talking about, after making the amend, we have to be sure to not follow up with that same fucked up behavior. Because we can't run around and just keep saying I'm sorry, and then doing the same thing. If it were that simple, we wouldn't need 12 steps. We need one or two. Because I know it sounds so good, and maybe the non-addicts are like, yeah, it's that easy. Why is it so challenging? I don't know either. But it is. Look, identification in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous with the smile and the laugh and the nodding heads is one of the greatest things out of the many hundreds of greatest things we get here. But if we don't come here to get that identification, and we don't come here to see other people who have the courage to tell the truth about themselves, we might forget about what that shit looks like and feels like. You know? I don't really have a spiel, a spamiel. My second sponsor, he couldn't say spiel, he always said spamiel. But we love him. He looked like Kermit the Frog. He still does. But I won't say his name because of anonymity. Kirk S. Oops. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this again. I did this once at a convention in a workshop. They were recording it. And my first sponsor went to the rummage sale. My home group meets in a church. It's called Living Miracles. It meets Monday through Friday, noon to 1:25 in downtown Battle Creek. And the church has a rummage sale a couple times a year. And that dude went up to the rummage sale and bought like a little pocket dictionary for a dime and sold it to me for a couple dollars. I'm like, that's some cheap bastard shit, right? And so I always like to give Cleveland C a shout out. I hope he hears this. No, anyway. So I don't really have, my story continues to change. Yeah, I started when I was 13. I used like a motherfucker. I was thinking when I was sitting over here, I had an uncle through my stepdad who used to live in the little house right on the other side of the smoke shack. And one time I went over there when I was in high school to ask him to go to the store and cop liquor for me. And he was offended and he was hurt. I didn't know him that well. And I just went over. I was probably 16 or 17, asked him to go over to the store because I knew he was an alcoholic. And I hurt his feelings. And I didn't give a fuck. He wouldn't go get it for us, so we had to go find somebody else to get it. You know? And that's the type of life that I got to live for a while. And so I came to Narcotics Anonymous. I found people who understood me and would support me, and eventually made a decision to stay clean. And so the story continues to change. I could look back on something and remember it a certain way, and a couple days could go by, and a couple steps could go by, and I see it differently, and now my story has changed, you know. So oftentimes what I was raised on in Narcotics Anonymous is just to tell you guys what's going on with me now. One of my concerns is my joys outweigh my concerns. I don't know how many folds. I used to live a life that was just bogged down by concerns and resentment and just festivity, you know. And more of my life is joy and happiness and freedom. Because with the help of Narcotics Anonymous, when I feel the conscience twisting, I pay attention to what I'm doing. I talk to people about what I'm doing, people that I can trust that aren't going to just go and tell other people about it. Or sometimes I'll put it out in the meeting. All depends on how I feel about it. And then that allows me to transition into the solution process, so I don't spend full days hating myself. I haven't spent a full 24 hours hating myself in years. And I used to hate myself for months and years on end. And I haven't spent a full 24 hours hating myself. And I've done some really trifling shit in recovery. But with the help of other people loving me through it, I don't have to hate myself. I can just accept that I made a mistake or I made a bad decision and try to move out of that place. So December 31st, being of service, working with others is only the beginning of service work. We're in recovery now through living the program. We've attained some stability in our lives. Our faith in our higher power has grown. Our individual spiritual awakening is progressing comfortably. So now what? Do we simply sit still and enjoy? Or of course not. We find a way to be of service. We tend to think of service only in terms of committee service or holding a position at some level, but service goes far beyond this understanding. In fact, we can find opportunities to be of service in nearly every area of our lives. Our jobs are a form of service to our communities, no matter what our occupation. The work we do in our homes serves our family. Perhaps we do volunteer work in our communities. What a difference our service efforts make. If we doubt this, we can just imagine what the world would be like if no one bothered to be of service to others. Our work serves humanity. The message we carry goes beyond the rooms of recovery, affecting everything we do. Just for today, I will look for the opportunity to be of service in everything I do. So, Narcotics Anonymous is my main number one service commitment to the world. I feel like God put me on this planet to serve Narcotics Anonymous. And of course, I've got family, I've got a job, I've got a lot of things that I do in life and a lot of people that I love in life. But something inside me demands that Narcotics Anonymous take priority in my life. And that doesn't mean that other people have to wait and they don't get their attention. Life is about a balance and learning how to not neglect what's important to me while I'm trying to give attention to what's important to me, because I don't got only one thing that's important to me. I mean, almost everything I deal with on a daily basis is important to me. And I was telling my wife earlier, she was asking me if I knew what I was going to talk about. And one thing I wanted to talk about is the importance of serving Narcotics Anonymous to me, because for many years, I either had some fucked up shit to do, I'm talking about clean now. I either had some fucked up shit to do, but I always had Narcotics Anonymous to do before or after. Because I didn't just get clean and just behave right. So for me now, I'm married. I got a baby that'll be due in just over a month. And my idea of a good New Year's would have been to be in my sweatpants at 9 p.m. with my feet posted up on the couch, chilling, and not here. And sometimes I talk about the good old days because there was the good old days, my recovery good old days, people took the time to organize something like this. So when I was up to my douchebag shit, I could still come and be with Narcotics Anonymous and stay clean. Feeling like Narcotics Anonymous is my number one service commitment to the world, I can't just let you guys throw it. I've got a duty to be here. I mean, I was telling Lisa, I went to Lisa's home group a month or two ago because I hadn't been around a little bit, just to remind her that I'm not leaving. You know what I'm saying? Because things change. Things change. So one of our matriarchs are moving out of town. And somebody's got to be here to hold the fucking fort down for the people who don't know yet that staying clean is actually pretty fucking easy. Like, I didn't know when I came here. I was thinking about that treatment center that was sitting right there. And I go to a lot of treatment centers and they talk about being in the bubble and feeling so safe and shit. Well, if you do the spiritual exercises of this program, you can step anywhere and be in a bubble and feel so safe. You don't have to fucking limit that to a building. With the spiritual exercises of Narcotics Anonymous, we move forward with the chest plate of acceptance, you know, and we've learned to armor ourselves with the armor of God. And then we can go anywhere. Because who wants to fucking be in recovery and not take cruises? I mean, somebody that's scared of water. I get it. Not everybody wants to take cruises. But I don't want to get in recovery and stay clean to just stay at my house, you know. But I didn't know in the beginning that was me telling me how hard it's going to be to stay clean. That was me telling me that New Year's Eve is a big party night. How the fuck am I going to make it through it without putting something in me? That was me telling me all that bullshit. So I don't tell myself that shit anymore. I mean, the thoughts of using come up from time to time, but they don't stay long. And it's not because they don't stay long because I'm so naturally, my brain automatically kicks them out. It's because I pay attention, and when they fucking come in, they don't get to stay. They are not welcome. Because a thought grown in my mind, especially that negative shit, grows fast and takes precedence. So I'm not scared because everything's already okay and I know it's going to be just fine. But I'm challenged because I have a child that'll be born in a month and a week that will demand my time, my energy, and my attention. And I'm still going to stand true to my word that I'm not fucking leaving you, or you, or you, or you, 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 you. So, but doing new things, I don't know why it's so hard for me, but trying something new is still hard as shit for me. It scares me enough sometimes to not take action. And that's fucked up. I mean, maybe it's not fucked up. Maybe it is just what it is, but I'll have the answer to that someday. Why does doing something new and different still scare me enough sometimes to hold off on doing it? Going back to college was hard as shit in recovery. It was scary. But then you do it and it's like, oh, this isn't that bad. And every time I do those things, it's like, oh, this isn't that bad. I like to quote Tupac on it, but I know it came from somebody else who's probably more famous. Coward dies 1,000 deaths, a valiant die but one. You know, I will kill myself in my own head avoiding doing something. Then I do it, and it's never as bad as it turned out that my brain told me it was going to be. So, serving Narcotics Anonymous as fully and as completely as possible and becoming a new father is going to be something interesting. But then again, everything fucking else I've done in recovery has been something interesting too. You know, I don't miss using. Doesn't call me. Doesn't haunt me. I'm not caught. I'm not scared of being blindsided by an unseen obsession to use. I hope I'm not hiding behind things. If I'm hiding behind things, I got people who know me well enough who know that a true friend will challenge me and call me out on my bullshit. That's what I find in Narcotics Anonymous. That's one fun transition to make. Being a good enough friend to say things to people that you care about that you know is going to put a stress on the friendship. But remember, because I used to always avoid that shit. I'm like, somebody else will tell them. You know, I don't want to deal with the challenge that comes with calling a friend out on some shit. But I'm a friend that can do that, and it's still uncomfortable to do. But I'll sit down with people and say, hey, man, I'm seeing this. And all those friendships have survived. Matter of fact, they may have become stronger, better friendships because we're willing to expose ourselves like that. So I've got a question, because I got all you guys in here tonight. I've had a step 8 and a step 9 written for over a year. And me and my ex-sponsor just couldn't seem to get together to get them done. And I'm trying to decide. I got a lot of people in Narcotics Anonymous that know this program I could go straight to and say, I've got these 2 steps written. I'd like to just get through them. I know enough people who had that experience, and they would just tell me, this is what you do with this. Or they would work with me to figure out how to make these amends, because I'm not concerned about moving forward in them. I'm trying to figure out if I find somebody and just get that work done, or do I take my time and find my new long-term sponsor and hold off. I'm sick of fucking holding off on this shit. Nobody wants to carry 2 steps completely written, and I touch them every week because I try to write every week and I make adjustments. It's been fucking adjusted as much as it can be adjusted. So I'm trying to decide if I want to just get with somebody real quick. I've got plenty of people in mind that I could just get a hold of, say, hey, would you go over these 2 steps with me? I want to get through them. Or do I hold off and please comment after the speaker meeting if you have a comment. I feel like I want to just get it done. I just want to get a hold of somebody and get it through, you know. So I'll share this and then I'll pass. I think in my first year clean, I used to drive my grandmother's car, but I'd have to drop it off at her house every night and then walk back to my house. That was about 6 blocks. And I was walking home from dropping the car off and crying because I had done something. And that's when I realized in my first year clean that I was clean, but I was still hurting people. So I could no longer blame it on the drugs. The 12 steps in Narcotics Anonymous were my solution. Those are my solution. So that hasn't changed. And then after believing that for a little while, I had an experience that made me realize, for me, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous are the solution that this program offers. So until I've worked all 12 steps, I have not participated in the solution in Narcotics Anonymous. That's for me. I believe that. And then I believed that for a couple of years. And then I realized that this program isn't about me working the 12 steps. This program is about me helping somebody else work the 12 steps. And so I believe that I haven't given the program of Narcotics Anonymous a chance until I've worked all 12 steps and then helped somebody else work all 12 steps. So that happened. I don't know when, but that's what I believe that. And then I was reminded that this is a program of 36 spiritual exercises, the steps, the traditions, and the concepts. And I was like, fuck. So I got to work all 12 steps. I got to study and work all 12 traditions. I've got to study and work all 12 concepts. And then I have to help somebody else work the steps, the traditions, and the concepts before I've given this program a chance. I'm going to be here a long fucking time. Because I don't want to give up on Narcotics Anonymous before I've given it a chance. And I do believe that this program is truly about helping somebody else find the freedom that I've achieved. Because anybody who does this program, the freedom is going to be paramount. It's going to be better than you ever could have fucking imagined. That anybody who does the program gets that. That's not in question. The only person who would question that is somebody who hasn't done the fucking program. Because everybody who does it gets that. Life gets pretty fucking good. But the primary purpose of this program is to help somebody else get that joy that you've experienced through working this program. That's the primary purpose of this program. Everybody who does it gets the joy and the serenity. But don't forget that that joy and that serenity can be very easily given to somebody else. It just takes a little bit of time, effort, energy, and sacrifice. Because, I mean, great that your life got better. Fucking great. But then again, everybody's life gets better when they do Narcotics Anonymous. So don't forget that this program must be shared with the next person. That's our primary purpose. Help somebody. One of my many challenges, well, you guys have heard enough about my challenges. I am so glad that other people feel that bringing people together for this is a worthwhile expenditure of their energy. Because good old days do not have to stop. I think about the good old days when my home group was full, and the good old days when I was activity chair for too long. I had a blast with it. Everybody's having good old days. And I want to make sure that our newer members who are confused and need a place to be, just because I don't need a place to be, or I got a place to be and it's comfortable and I like being there, I made a commitment to the Battle Creek area of Narcotics Anonymous. And that goes, I'm Narcotics Anonymous no matter what fucking area you drop me in. But I live in Battle Creek. And I am not going to leave Narcotics Anonymous, period, until it's time to move to another city. And then I'll be that area. And I'll miss the shit out of you guys, but I'll be that area then, you know. But as long as we're still going, we're still fucking going. And we're not going to stop because more people are coming and they deserve good old days too. And we're going to help them find them. So I'll pass. Thanks.
Thanks, man.